college. Ooh, God, you promised that great day will come. Yes, God, you promised that I will see my son. You promised that he is by your side, and nothing can separate this love inside. No masters, no doctors can prescribe ways in my calling. Only his ways, oh ancient days can correct. He reflects the path I acknowledge. God's promise, 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 promise. God's promise, 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 promise. God's promise, 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 promise. God's promise, 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 promise.
Stay right. Greater light. Y'all know this song ain't over. Huh?
Put him in yourself who is being created to a true
roll eyes. Roll your eyes for Christ.
People who walk in darkness will see a great light.
Great light.
Those who live in the dark land, the light will shine on.
Shine on. Promise. 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 Now get ready for the earth to get cleansed. This is just the beginning of the end.
Reflecting his might. I am in always reflecting his sight. In always light, knowledge, no college. Ooh, God, you promised that
a great day will come.
Yes, God.
Yes, God.
Promise that I will see my son.
See my son.
That he is by your side. And nothing. Put him in yourself who is being created to a true knowledge according to the image of the one who created. The people who walk in darkness will see a great light.
Great light.
Those who live in the dark land, the light will shine on. Promise.
Shine on. Promise. 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 Promise.
Promise. God's promise.
God's promise. Promise. Promise.
Promise. God's mind is my mind. My
one more
mind
time.
I am in always reflecting his might. I am in always reflecting his sight. In always I knowledge, no college. Ooh, God, you promised that great day
will come.
Yes, God, you promised that I will see my son. You promised that he is by your side. Born in himself who is being created.
That's it. That's it. Greater light. Greater light.
People who walk darkness will see a great light. Those who live in the dark.
Look, let me get it started properly. I don't know. I haven't been here for a few days. Has it been a few days? I don't know. I ain't been keeping track. But I know everything's lining up. Lining up. The way your steps was ordered. It's the way time now is coming together. The days are shortened just to give those who are written in the Lamb's Book of Life to be getting on the right track, and in right order, in the right order. The time is winding up. Look, my mind is God's mind. I'm always reflecting divine wisdom and divine intelligence. My brain symbolizes the capacity to think wisely and spiritually. They coming. They beginning to knock on doors. They closing in. And I'm ready. I'm ready. My mind is God's mind. I'm always reflecting divine wisdom and divine intelligence. They trying to get in the doors. They's like, we don't care. We don't care what you got posted on that door, a house of prayer. We want to enter. Oh, no, my mind is God's mind. I'm always reflecting divine wisdom and divine intelligence. My brain symbolizes the capacity to think wisely and spiritually. God's ideas unfold within my mind in perfect sequence. Before the foundations of my mother's womb, before my mama's mama, because the Bible says so, I existed and was created and thought of before the foundations of this plane. Before he so strategically took and weave and wove together the womb of this flesh. Uh, My mind is God's mind. I'm always reflecting divine wisdom and divine intelligence. My brain symbolizes the capacity to think wisely and spiritually. God's ideas unfold within my mind in perfect sequence. I'm always poised, balanced, serene, and calm, knowing that God has provided the perfect solution within my DNA, the light code within my DNA. Even the trees feed off of the blood that has been buried in the grounds year after year. These oaks, their branches will go down just to get and thrive off of the ignorance of those buried in the ground, thinking that they are supposed to be attached to this earth. These worldly things. Be separate from the world. God has provided the perfect solution within your DNA code, a blueprint. He's the architect, huh? With the real ID, huh? The perfect solution for every single one of my needs, and he has done it for you. It's in your blood, it's in your DNA. You'll be able to decipher and rightly divide the word of truth. If you just put that love and light code, armor of love and light code, you'll be able to. The perfect solution to every single one of my needs. You can say amen. I say, God, you promised, huh? You promised, and I know you're going to keep your promise. Huh? When man can't keep their promise, God, I know for sure that you're going to keep your promise to me. Huh? I don't know for those who don't believe in promises. Hmm? I know that the word, because the Bible says so, and I rightly divided what was coming out of Paul's frame of mind and what was it come through light code. You say Selah, I say God, you promised. God, I know you're going to keep your promise. I know that whatever trials and in between, when I transition from here, the children going to be all right. I know all the chains and everything else that they've done, child trafficking and all these things that's happening to the children, that God is going to keep his promise to me. That children ain't going to have to go through that no more. Ain't no way in the world that in this physical plane and this physical flesh, for those adults that want to be left behind, you could go ahead and be trapped up in an artificial, argumented minds where they going to put you in their cryptocurrency. But the children is not going to have to go through that. And for those who claim this land, everything is going to be wiped away. All things that can cause harm to the children is going to be, children will be able to ride on the backs of lions, and eat from the trees, that won't be contaminated with all those things that man has contaminated the world with. But for those who want to be in a crypto state of mind, how the devil got everything lining it up for you. God's children will not be walking around having to be able to buy and sell with Apple Vision on their head. You know, see, I was over in one of my favorite places, uh, listening to the Cryptic build. And the thing is, I was already going to come on here. That's how I know things are lining up the way that they supposed to line up. It's not by a coincidence. It's not by your coin incidences. Because when I click on Federal Register and show you that this was already going to be my topic for the day, and not only that, I went into the area where I work, and somebody actually friended me. They have 200 people trying to get me to sign on and click a link with a big old Bitcoin sign on it. I said, now look at, ain't this a quickie dicky? Not only that, for the past couple of days, I've been watching certain movies just to see how they're integrating the past scripts of literature that potentially is not real and correlating it with Federal Register and making it come to life. So I watched that movie Underground, show. I've been watching it, and that's what made me today say I was going to talk about the money market and the federal trade. And again, lo and behold, in federal trade today, in Federal Register, that's what it is about. And then again, to go over and then hear that tone, these certain tones from so many years ago, just happen to be right in place. It's like, yep, keep it up. You on the right track. You on the right track. I'm going to read Revelations 13 first, because first I'm going to go to the word and then rightly divide it against what's going on in Federal Register. And then show you how what happened while I was watching the show and taking notes in my mind on which parts that they are taking these movies and replaying them. I stopped right on the name Powell. I can't make this up. I can't make this up. I cannot make this up. I'm not making this up. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not elaborating. So anybody seen that show? And then for the first time, because I keep telling people I never saw Lovecraft, whatever that show is. Every time Pixel T and Red Squid X asked me if I had ever watched it, I'd never watched it, but I saw it, the preview for it for the first time. So I may end up after that going into that, and I already know everything is going to be at order correctly against what's being replayed in Federal Register of literature that may not very, I was thinking about those who claim that their ancestors was whipped and everything, and how over 100 years ago, just say those people who are like 60 years old right now, and they's like, yes, my ancestors did come over and they was whipped and they was slaves and all that. Did any of y'all grandparents show you the whips and scars and stuff? Can anybody who claim that I'm talking about for those, say, 50 and older, and your grandparents was alive, your great-great-grands, like when I was 5 years old, it wasn't my blood, it was my stepfather, but still, I had they were ancestral to this land, and they never claimed slavery or anything like that. Like Grandma May, the Demarys. She said that they worked in the fields, but they wasn't like slaves. And when I think back to all of us that was growing up around that time, those who really like to say, yeah, did any of your grandfathers or grandparents show you whips and scars on their backs? That's what I'm interested in. I just thought about that. Did any of them show you scars and whips and stuff on their back? And like my grandmother say how cars didn't come into existence for her until she was a teenager, and she was born in the 20s. I'm just saying, I'm just saying, just a thought, not me saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying it's just a thought. And again, I'm talking to us that are like 50 and older. I'm 50 and older. Those who are that's who I'm talking to. All right. Now, let me go ahead and read. And again, time is winding up. God is going to keep his promise to me. I don't know how much longer I have. I know, like, my vision is going rapidly. Like right now, I can't, unless I put on all these different, even I pulled out my old prescription, and even with my regular prescription, everything is blurry. I have to force to make out the words. Good thing I used to like to read. So even with the blur, I can make out the words, but my vision is going rapidly. My vision is going rapidly, and I'm not worried about a thing, actually. Good thing my brother that was buried on October 7th, Prince of the Menaces, of the royal menaces in the Bahamas, my brother come out of the same wound that I was so strategically placed in to fit in, even though I didn't come into this flesh until it was about 5 years old. But that brother, I played blindfold. I used to blindfold myself and play with him and act like I was blind during the summers just so I could connect with him, understand what he was going through, even though I still wouldn't completely understand because I could take off the blindfold anytime. But I did that. I was very close to my brother. So that's why I say I'm not worried about if my vision go. I just have to do what I got to do. When I used to go with him to the Lighthouse of the Blind and volunteer my time at the Lighthouse of the Blind, I didn't take the time to learn Braille. I tried. It was very hard for me. It's things like keys and keyboards and things. It's hard for me because once they took off my finger that was never supposed to be tied off, it's natural for me to have that. It made it where it's hard for me to connect the keys with my. It ain't like that for all the members of my family, the ones with the 12 fingers, and theirs was tied off. But then they also have their bloodlines that help them connect with things like that. So I'm more predominant on one side of my bloodline where I was supposed to have this wasn't supposed to be tied off. They forgot the dot. They forgot the dot. But let me get to some revelations. King Ellis. Greater light, King Ellis. Greater light. Let me get to some revelations. Let me read some Revelation. Revelation 13. Now I got this highlighted. I got this part highlighted. The first Revelations 13:1. I don't remember why I highlighted it, but let me go ahead. And now, in my vision, I saw a strange creature rising up out of the sea. Now, when Elon Musk did that super heavy, supposedly traveling at the speed of sound, and we know sound travels faster than light, for those who truly know, no matter what numbers man put on it, sound travels faster than light, because light didn't come until after God spoke and made a sound, the first thought that activated the light. And the speed of it is so fast that it booms before the light, the same way the thunder rolls before the strike. Before the light hits the ground, the thunder rolls. Meaning that sound traveled before the light. It's speeded. So whatever it is that he did with the sound, when he sent up this star or this super heavy with flames, and the government is, which is the other beast, to watch him and give him the permission to do all these certain things with his X, and his numbers of his birth being strategically placed as 666. When he was allowed to take and allow that rocket to hit over the speed of sound, this is in Revelations 13. This is what Revelations 13 is referring to. That rocket came out of the ocean of Texas, out of the Gulf. Now I need to do a check and make sure that's exactly where, or was it off the coast of wherever it was. If wherever it was in that coast, it was by the Gulf. It came out of the Gulf. And remember, when the first set of angels that were cast down, they were cast to the Gulf. If anybody remembers, when you can rightly divide the word of truth. And then the second set of angels that came, that built the wall around Eden, the builders. So Revelations 13 is directly connected to when that sound barrier was broken through speed, through that rocket, and the flames from that rocket. And they're transitioning over to where those who keep deceiving the people, talking about we like wait 30 years before they transition completely over to Bitcoin and being able to buy and sell, when it's not true. In the Federal Register right now, they are working towards it as fast as they can. And that revelation came to me watching Underground, and I stopped it right at the name Powell. And I went to sleep and then woke up to listen to one of the creators and his panel building on cryptocurrency. Now the thing about it is them playing it in the movie to keep individuals sleep on the black and white of it, and they're replaying the scripts of that movie or that literature right now as we speak. The head honcho over the Federal Trade Commission is Jerome Powell. I think in the movie, or that's not a movie, but a series, the name was Jeremy Powell, if I'm not mistaken. I just know when I heard the name Powell, I turned it off and meditated and went to sleep. And especially, like, I thought back to my childhood, because one of my closest friends, her last name was Powell. And then I thought about, I was like, Powell, it got to be something significant about that name Powell for today when I hit Federal Trade and Federal Register, what's going on in the Federal Register, and connected to Revelations 13, and the head honcho in charge name is Jerome Powell for the Federal Trade Commission and what it is that they're trying to do right now. Let me continue reading. And now in my vision, I saw a strange creature rising up out of the sea. It had 7 heads and 10 horns, and 10 crowns upon its horns. And written on each of the head were blasphemous names, each one defying insulting God. Every time, what's his name? They send up these rockets, especially super heavy. They have numbers by each of the spouts that the flame is supposed to come out on the rocket. And then there's all types of names within the codes that's under super heavy, that dragon. This creature looked like a leopard, but it had bear's feet and lion's mouth. And the dragon gave him his own power and throne and great authority. When they showed the super heavy going up this time, before it even hit the other layer of the atmosphere, it sit like a cloud. It seemed like the cloud went for miles. It released some type of cloud that went for the smoke that came from the blast, and when it transitioned into surpassing the speed of sound, which they supposedly claim that they have documented and told you in reverse, it sit like a strange cloud. I should go ahead and click that video. I wasn't prepared to click the video, to do that video, but I should. I may come back with it tomorrow because I'm going to stay on this one for a couple of days. What time is it? Yeah, I've already chosen my schedule, my work schedule for the day, and I want to stay committed to that. So, and written on each head were blasphemous names, each one defying and insulting God. This creature looked like a leopard, but had bear's feet and lion's mouth. And the dragon gave him his power and throne and great authority. I saw that one of his heads seemed wounded beyond recovery, but the fatal wound was healed. Now, Super Heavy went through an issue before. If you don't, anyone remembers, where the first Super Heavy, I think, exploded or something happened with the first Super Heavy, knocked it out of the sky. If anybody remembers, and it never even broke the barrier of sound when that happened last year. And when I saw it, when I recorded it, I was able to see the like it wasn't some malfunction with the rocket. It was a boom came from somewhere else. So I believe either China or Russia sent some type of frequency to knock it out. So it healed and it was able to do this replay again, but this time it actually penetrated and broke the barriers, the sound barrier. All the world marveled at this miracle and followed the creature in awe. Now, when it says world, it's speaking of those who aren't separate from the world. It's speaking of those who have their hands ready and set in the Federal Trade Commission to use and finish uploading people's light codes and frequency into the system to be able to integrate with artificial intelligence when they get to the point when they finally finish with their laws, where they say, when we scan you, when we use your facial ID, your face ID, you can't be able to buy and sell if you haven't accepted these terms and conditions under the covenant that we have set. They worship the dragon for giving him such power. And they worship the strange creature. Where it where is there anyone as great as he? They exclaimed, who is able to fight against him? Then the dragon encouraged the creature to speak great blasphemies against the Lord and give him authority to control the earth for 42 months. All of that is going to happen when they so-called go into this World War III. And I say so-called because it's really going to be a so-called. Because China, according to Federal Register last year, according to different scenarios, all the way from Jerry Lewis having a vision about June 2024 this year, all the movements that they have created and the simulations to take effect this month to move into their so-called war, once it begins, will be the 42 months, the beginning of the 42 months. And when I say Jerry Lewis, for those who don't know or don't really watch me or listen to any of my lives, because I say you don't have to really watch. Go to Federal Register and look at the information for yourself. Don't believe me, go check it out and then compare it to Revelations. Compare it to your different books. But Jerry Lewis did the movie The Day the Clown Cried, and whatever it was about the apocalyptic replay that he did in the movie for the Holocaust, he changed his mind. I don't know if he had a vision. I don't know what made him change his mind to release that, but he asked that that movie not be released until June 2024, and that movie was done in 1972. And then again, according to Federal Register, China is supposed to be pulling out a bunch of stuff from exports because United States reneged on the exchange of the 28 nanometrics through the CHIPS Act law of your light code. They supposed to be pulling out of the sugar export and some other things just to try to make it hard in all the provisions that they've created for it to follow through with Revelations. The dragon encouraged the creature to speak great blasphemies against the Lord and gave him the authority to control the earth for 42 months. All the time he blasphemed God's name and his temple and all the things, all those living in heaven. The dragon gave him the power to fight against God's people and to overcome them. That's what the new covenant that they used, that is in full effect right now under the Federal Trade Commission, which is called the non-competes. And in that clause, they compare it to the baby in the bathwater. And if you go back through history, where they, in their literature and all of their acts and all of their scripts and all of their verses, Roe versus Wade, this versus that, this versus that, the non-compete baby or the bathwater was part of the slogan back then in the slavery days, in a transition from the physical, so-called physical chains and all of the other chains that they have on God's chosen people. The dragon gave him the power to fight against people and to overcome them and to rule over all the nations and language groups throughout the world. Language is the key. You'll hear the master teacher He's not our master, but he's a teacher in the masters. A teacher's about the masters. He never claimed to be our master. We say master teacher because he's a teacher about what the masters have done. And for those who like to always come and say, is what you speaking and what you speaking into existence. If it's what we speaking into existence, what you fighting for? What is it who is you trying to wake up? What is their conscious community for? Anyways, you'll hear him say language is the key. Every time I hear it, language is the key. Did you hear the word? Do you understand that word? Language is the key. Via why Nuapu came into existence in the first place. Language is the key. So here, same way at the beginning of the so-called history of the historics of these words, they're supposed to be rightly dividing so you can understand the word of truth, the Tower of Babel. So in the beginning, confusion came through the Tower of Babel, and at the end, in Revelation 13, X and Gog and Magog and all their attempted authority is coming through to overcome the world and all of their nations by language. And it says throughout the world. And all mankind whose names were not written down before the founding of the world in slain Lamb's book of life worship the evil creature. I keep saying, for those who need to understand that you were created before the foundations of this world. You were written in light code before the foundations of everything that exists on this plane. Can you comprehend that? So those who are right with it, they are right with even thinking that their children gonna have and be with headsets on their brains 24 hours a day, or at least 12 hours a day, school hours. It's those who they say they're gonna be all right being trapped in holographic points where you're gonna have to have a surgery and a doctor don't have to be there to operate on you. He could be all the way in the depths of the crevices of hell and operate on you from where he at, as long as you got a headset on your head too, because they're integrating them into the hospitals. It's those who are saying it's okay if you don't perform live. You are right with it as long as the money right. I could be at the bottom of the sea playing with the devil and throw a concert for you, and you're gonna have to pay for the concert as long as you got a headset on your head. It's people that's gonna be all right with those. Those are the people who say, hey, we want your light for sale and we okay with it. We worship the evil creature and we all right with X. We all right with Mark Zuckerberg. We all right with Facebook and Meta. And I tell you, I went into the metaverse to research, and my headset's still almost brand new because I realized what it was. I went in there, I took notes, and I came out. And for the same people teaching that, oh no, it's 30 years away. It's 40 years away. You know why? Because they want to make sure they got their cryptos right just to convince the people, look, and I got all your money. And since you invested in my mind, when you put the headset on, you're going to have to use my coins to sell and trade. So you could go to a concert in the headgear. They say, no, that's so far away. No, right now, children don't use books in school no more. They use the same phone that reads your algorithm, that reads your heartbeat, that reads, if you press a link, it will read your dream realm, the waves in your dream. And now, I still haven't done Face ID yet. Not that it can't read my iCodes. It can't read my algorithm. It does. It's already been on the beta test of that. But according to what they have in Federal Register right now and the laws that they putting out to finally get all the regulations, when they hit that button that says, nope, you will have to have your Face ID in order to be able to purchase this $30 of water from Walmart or this $20 loaf of bread. We have to verify it's you. If we haven't already moved into that, the same people who want to take your money and say, no, don't believe it. It is the same ones say, when I was in 6th grade and my teacher, Helen Miller, said, look, there's going to come a time where you'll be able to talk to your phone and your phone will talk back. Huh? And I went and I told my grandmother, I said, Grammy, my teacher said, she's the one that taught us about flat earth. 6th grade, Helen Miller, Sunset Elementary. And the people who was back then saying, no, that's some 100 years from now. You don't have to believe that. That's some Star Trek issue stuff. And when I explained it to my grandmother, who was this day over 90 years old, I said, Grammy, you know what my teacher said? She said people will be able to talk to their refrigerators and talk to their equipment, and it'll talk back and tell her. She said, baby, that ain't real. That's not going to happen. And you had people in the government making movies saying, yeah, it's going to happen, but it ain't going to happen till 2300. Void, greater light. So let me continue. And all mankind whose names were not written down before the founding of the world in the slain lamb's book of life worship the evil creature. Anyone who can hear, listen carefully. The people of God who were destined for prison will be arrested and taken away because they already have the covenant, which is called the non-competes, for those who will not accept. They ain't gonna want to accept headsets on their children, that they're not gonna want to accept artificial intelligence controlling them. It's okay right now that we talking and conversating. They're not going to want to know that the child is, they're going to transition from the phone, the child is in class with the iPad, to the next law that passes and says they're going to have that headset on their head 24 hours a day, or have that headset on their head half of the school out. First, they're going to start it off with 2 or 3 hours, and parents are going to sign off and say, okay. Anyone who can hear, listen carefully. The people of God who are destined for prison will be arrested and taken away. And this is within the 42 months that's about to occur soon. Some of us are not going to be able to withstand it. God has already provided a perfect solution in your needs, within your needs. Your own, the blueprint says right now, push love and light code and be a light to those that are in darkness, so that they will be able to see it clearly. Those destined for death will be killed. But don't be dismayed, for here's your opportunity for endurance and confidence. Then I saw another strange animal, this one coming up out of the earth with two little horns like those of a lamb, but fearsome like the dragons. He exercised all the authority of the creature whose death wound had been healed, whom he required all the world to worship. So whoever that coming along under, and it has to be somebody in federal trade. And I'm looking at this name, Jerome Powell, just because that name came up, and I don't know for sure, but I guarantee you, as I continue to study to show myself approved, it'll come. The answer will come. He did unbelievable miracles, such as making fire flame down to the earth from the skies while everyone was watching. Whoever this is has such a hand in technology that when they finish with the holographic, you remember, I don't know anybody ever been to Stone Mountain or those laser shows way in the 80s. And we could watch a laser show and it just seemed like everything comes to life. But then the difference between that over 30 years ago of that technology, I remember almost 25 years ago, the first headset that they was experimenting with, I stepped into the headset over 20 years ago, me and my first husband, middle name Jesus, at Santa's Enchanted Forest. They had them out there showing what the histories of the headset would be over 25 years ago. They put a headset on him and they put a headset on me, and we had something in our hand, a game piece in our hand, and we had to pretend like we were swinging swords. Santa's, I don't know which company was out there over 25 years ago with the technology of the headset, but from that point to this point, they have perfected it where they're about to move into a transition that when whoever it is over that technology these days are going to make statues be able to come to life and tell you what you better do and don't do. Here we go. Let me finish reading. Then I saw another strange animal, this one coming up out of the earth with two little horns like those of the lamb, but a fearsome voice like the dragons. He exercised all the authority of the creature whose death wound had been healed, whom he required all the world to worship. He did unbelievable miracles, such as making fire flame come down from earth, from the skies, while everyone was watching. By doing these miracles, he was deceiving people everywhere. He could do these marvelous things whenever the first creature was there to watch him. And he ordered the people of the world to make a great statue of the first creature who was fatally wounded and then came back to life. He was permitted to give breath to this statue and even make it speak. Then the statue ordered that everyone refusing to worship it must die. He required everyone, great and small, rich and poor, slave. That's why I say those who, when I said it a few weeks ago, I said they said baby of the bath water. This before the Fiji water got contaminated with something they had to pull back off the shelves and from people's homes, do a FDA warning from November of last year. Anybody who got water on their shelves from Fiji way from November 2023. There's no discrimination, rich and poor. If you are a light being, and you are written in the Lamb's book of life, it's time to prepare yourself and dress up in the love and armor of light. To be tattooed. It said great and small, rich and poor, slave and free, to be tattooed with certain mark on the right hand or on the forehead. And no one could get a job or even buy in any store without the permit of this mark, which is either the name of the creature, and it's telling you it's either, meaning it's going to be either the name, it might just be a whole X on it, of the creature, or the code number of his name. People always miss that. They always say, well, it's just going to be 666. So it ain't no 666 written on my hand, ain't no 666 on my head. But soon as you put that headset on your head, when they say you holding the phone, your IP address, it says it's either going to be the code is going to be your IP address. Your IP address would probably have just 6 digits, huh? Because they're not going to use, they don't have to worry about your social security number. They have already integrated that when you have to do the real ID for US. Now, they don't even request and require for you no more to send a copy of your documents. You ain't realized that? Anything you apply for, they said, look, go to US.gov and hit the real ID form, blah, blah, blah. And they confirm it's you just like that. And they said, we already took a picture and scanned you through your phone. Does it match your IP address? Your personal IP address. It says it would either have the name or the code. You can't see it? You can't see it already? Let them finish banning TikTok all the way. The only way that China was able to get at least half of the nanometrics light codes that they needed from US beings, United States individuals. All out war on your light code. Hold up the phone. Facial recognition. Oh no, you don't accept the mark of the beast? Oh no, you claiming you a Christian because you can't even look at the demons, those who worship from Solomon's temple, based on what her Sister Gray just did. If you look at the demon wrong, if you roll your eyes, they can lock you out of the system. You believe in Christ and you roll your eyes, say, I'm not going to say answer, I'm just going to roll my eyes. They're going to block your whole phone. You ain't ready for that? Those who don't believe this is spiritual, those who don't believe in Jesus, you don't have to believe in Jesus, because you're going to be right along with getting whatever Elon, Mark, and everybody else that's siding with the government. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right while they digging you in the behind with them headsets on your head. Your body withering away, but your consciousness steady in a whole loop. Over and over again. A whole loop. And you'll be begging to be freed in. Talking about how you thought you were free the whole time. Because of your money. Because of the things of this world. Because of a diamond. Waste of the earth. Because of $1. Oh, we fine, I heard a brother over there. This made me feel so sad. See, it was a reason why the music, the rappers and stuff, they was investing and they wasn't telling us. Yeah, because they want to make sure, that they could throw a free concert, in a headset, and get you trapped up in there. You trapped up with the music right now. People, children killing, just because of the music. And you mean to tell me you feel all right that the next generation will be all right with headsets on their heads, going to concerts, trapped up in a. It's going to go from 12 hours a day to 24 hours a day. And no one could get a job or even buy any store without the permit of that mark, which is either the name of the creature or the code or the number in his name. Here's a puzzle that called for careful thought to solve it. Let those who are able interpret this code. The numerical values of the letters of his name add to 666. When you take everything about Elon's name and connect it, because your name is connected to your so-called, what man gave us? Under the Zods, under the Zodiac, under your dates and times and numerals that man has created. And the numerals of his birth alone add up to 666. And then he added on to his name with the X. And they say, no, that's just all a coinky dinky. You know what he does? He does the same thing Trump does. He said, look, I'm going to have to tell them the truth. And I'm going to have to tell them the truth within the lies. And wasn't longer than 6 months ago, he, I guess, start letting people know, get prepared. He said, grow your own. Because by the time we finish poisoning up your food and all that, if you don't have the money to buy off of this phone or the headsets, you saying no, within the 42 months, you gonna die real quick because you ain't gonna be able to buy itself. Grow your own. He put out that warning. When he put out that warning, grow your own. Nobody remember that though, They wasn't paying attention to that. They have to be transparent, and he did it as quick as easy. He used 2 words, 3 words. He said, I'm gonna be transparent, all right. I ain't got nothing else to say after that. I'm not gonna explain why I'm saying it, but I'm gonna let them know the time is almost here, By the time I finish sending super heavy, by the time we finish with the eclipse and all those who looked up and fell for it, and were able through NASA, who he works with, and the government, to collect so much currency from people listening to us, looking up through their phones, that we were able to purchase United States for a time. NASA owns the real estate. And because NASA owns the real estate and works so carefully with Elon Musk, who do you think has his hands and the real estate of the United States? I'm not making this up. All of this information is easily found in Federal Register. When they call for the so-called war to go into full effect, and people are going to be looking for so much devastation, and it's not going to be what you think, because the devastation, again, in Revelation, the Bible says it's going to be to harm the people, not to touch the land and the trees and the grass. They always show in the movies of the whole land being dilapidated, and that's not what it says. So by the time they hit that link, the so-called red button, everybody. So let me show you this Federal Register document real quick, because it's time for me to get on off of here to get ready for my continuing to follow the protocols until the time where time will be no more. Here you go. Let me share. And like I said, I'll probably go over it tomorrow because I got some things I need to do before this time. Here, certifying the use of merit personnel system as required by Intergovernmental Personnel Act of 1970. This is the same OPM that I keep telling y'all about that had me come train with them thinking that I was going to shut my mouth for the amount of money that they'd offered me to work for them. And because I kept coming over here and they realized that they can't buy me. Office of Personnel Management, they throwing out all these different acts, and all of it has to do with the Trade Commission also. They're the same ones who are in control of that same covenant that Biden signed, the covenant of the non-competes, where if you are rebellious in certain things, they could stop your income at any time. All of these laws, this isn't right here, no paperwork of potential. This is a rule. Anytime it becomes a rule in the Federal Register government, it is set in stone. They can come and amend and change certain words, but they usually do all that before it's set in stone. Privacy Act and Freedom Information Act regulations for the Office of Management budget. They're doing this in regards to the transition over to the integration of the federal laws that regulates the stabilization of the coin or the income, the being able to buy and trade and barter the commodities through cryptocurrency. For those who keep pronouncing that it's 30 years away and so long away and so far away. Surety companies doing business with the United States, Federal Trade Commission. Publication of Russian harmful foreign activity sanction regulations, web general licensing, Russia getting in on, and China on the amount of light that was supposed to be traded from each individual. An eye for eye, tariff for tariff. Web licenses. What does the war have to do? Because it goes all the way back to the CHIPS Act law. That's what took effect. They gave the United States citizens enough time to appeal and take back that CHIPS Act law. And no one did. No one had anything to say. And the CHIPS Act law actually turned it where you are no longer a person, you are not a property. But because of the science of the headsets and the regulations between being connected to your phone is a physical caretaker of you. It monitors your heart health, your mind health, your frequencies, your light code. You became a patient under the CHIPS Act law of the United States of America. I told you years ago, it was here, right here in the Federal Register laws, that they put a mandate to put nutritional facts on your IP address. Not no sticker of nutritional facts on the modem. On you as a personal IP address, your own personal code that they will be using. when they activate this and go fully forward with it, when they begin this so-called war, last and final war. Why do you need nutritional facts on your IP address? Because the devil, the Gog and Magog, the demons, those who accept will be feeding the demons. The demonic realm. If you okay with being left behind, something else about to happen there about the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Here it is. Now I'm showing you this today. This is a federal rule. It's something about to go on in that area. Here it is. It's happened when they had it in the first week of January. The first week of January, they had the same safety zone mess going on right here. And then that happened at the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Now, so that means this whole area is something about to go down. And when it go down, you know what people are going to be like, oh, and they're going to be in such awe. And again, because of how fast my vision is going and the different things that's going on, I don't know if I'm going to be here to be saying, see, look, y'all, anything that they say, anything that's going to happen, and they put it in Federal Register on a daily basis because they have to be transparent and they have to match this bond, this legal form of contracts between our souls. And it was spread out in every religion, so no one could say they didn't know. It was spread out in every language. And it all that the main instruction in it was to rightly divide it. So that in the end you wouldn't be study to show thyself approved. So that you will be able to rightly divide the word of truth. And you wouldn't be ashamed when you stand up and you pronounce that you stand for love and light. That's it. Greater light. I appreciate those who are over here. I'm about to go ahead and, maybe later or tomorrow, I'm going to come over and go over Jeremy Powell. And I promise I'm not going to look at this information right now. I'm going to finish watching and seeing how they're integrating the literature throughout time, false narratives and literature, and implementing it within the Federal Register documents, connected it to the only, to me, true document of the return of the kingdom of heaven, the only true science. But I'm going to look at that information on that show. I'm going to watch that show again later and see what is the connection with the Powell name. Greater light, King Ellis. I appreciate you. Voy, greater light. And let me close out with this one. Same one. God's promise. God's promise. Promise. God's promise. God's light is my mind is light. I'm in always reflecting His light. Always I acknowledge, no knowledge, no courage. Ooh, God, you promised that great day will come. Yes, God, you promised that I will see my son. You promised that He is by your side, and nothing can separate this love inside. No masters, no doctors can prescribe ways in my calling. Only His ways, oh ancient of days, can correct. He reflects the
promise, 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 promise.